Hi, everyone tuning in. Happy Friday. We are about to kick off night two of, you see it right there, our Galentine's jewelry making party. Just letting some people come on in to the event. Feel free to say hello over there. I've got Brittany Chavers here waiting for you with a really, really cool project to kick us off tonight. Hi, Mandy Pritchard. Hope everyone's had a good Friday. Hey, Robin. Robin's excited. I'm excited too, Robin. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Susan. Susan Simmons. Susan Simmons, you're my Galentine. And hello and hi, everyone. Welcome to night two of the Galentine's jewelry making party presented by Jesse James Beads and Softflex Company. I am Sarah James from Jesse James Beads, and I have with me the amazingly talented Brittany Chavers. Brittany, welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited. As soon as you asked me to be in this, I was like, yep, I'm doing it. I love doing these, especially working with Softflex. So it's really, really fun. I hope you guys are ready.
Oh, that is great to hear. And yes, we are ready. It's such a delight to watch you create on the screen. You have such a wonderful fluidness to your creativity, and the way that you teach is just amazing. So thanks for coming on board for this one. And that thank you comes from me and everyone here that's watching.
Yay. Well, I'm always up for whatever. I'm super excited. I was really excited about Valentine's Day because I love Valentine's Day, even though I'm perpetually single on Valentine's Day. I still love it. But I love it that it's Galentine's Day. And I'm really excited about the strand I got to choose, which is what was it called? It was the Heartstone Chakra strand. And it is featuring rose quartz, which is so lovely, and from Dakota Stones. So I was just like, yeah, I need that strand right away. Right when I saw
I was
that
excited that you got that one. When we designed this strand, I had Brittany Chavers in mind for it. So all the designers for the Galentine's Day jewelry making party got to pick and choose the mixes or strand they wanted to work with. And I was excited that you got this one.
Yay, I was too. I was really excited too, because I think, is this the only one that has gemstones in it?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so like shapes that you don't normally see, right? Like I've never in my life seen this shape before. And it's like a faceted barrel. Mm-hmm. And it like killed me to use it because I'm also a bead hoarder, but it was so pretty. I had to use it in my design. So the one thing I really liked about this strand is, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can think this about a lot of different Jesse James bead strands, is that your work kind of designs itself, because your designers do such a great job putting everything together, right? So I know it's tempting to just like restrand it, put it on a necklace, and walk out the door. So I had to like not do that.
That's the challenge, to free the beads and do something.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun creating these ones. We love gemstones. We like working with Dakota Stones, and this was a new sort of test of stone design for us, because usually when we design with stones at Jesse James Beads, we're always doing like very skinny little petite strands.
Mm-hmm.
First go round at doing something a little chunky monkey. And since then, we have designed the all new chakra. The chakra stone line, which is at Jesse James Beads right now, featuring chunky strands. So that's over at the shop.
I'm so excited. I saw those and I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think I just got my hands on one today. It came in the mail, and I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but I'm super excited about it.
Maybe in the after party. So guys, just to recap, in case you weren't with us last night, we are on night two of our 2-night event with Softflex Company. This is the Galentine's jewelry making party from Jesse James Beads and Softflex. We have had 2 nights where we are having 2 nights of jewelry designing fun. Each of this entire event came with a kit. So if you were lucky enough to get your hands on one of these kits before we sold out, you're able to make along with the projects that our 4 designers are creating with. Yesterday, we started with Sarah Ayler. She created an amazing necklace, like very satin, date night style. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That was our first project yesterday. And then we ended with Wendy Whitman, who created a beautiful blingy boho bracelet to cap off last night.
Yeah, that was super sparkly. I texted her after. I was like, that bracelet was so awesome.
Yeah,
She
it was
loved
awesome.
that little boho bead. It was so gorgeous.
It was super, super fun. And I love watching Wendy design that project. If you didn't get to see last night, you can go over to the videos tab here on Facebook and you'll be able to see the repeats there. And we'll also be posting these up on the blog next week in case you missed a bead. We'll get you filled in.
Yay.
So tonight we are kicking off night 2 with Brittany Chavers and this gorgeous stone strand. Then at the 8 p.m. Eastern time hour, we will start with Kristen Fagan, who has another project with us featuring softflex. Well, all of the projects feature Jesse James and softflex, but Kristen will be representing softflex just a little bit later.
I'm
And
super
then,
excited for that.
to cap it all off, and I'll let Brittany get down to the mat then. To cap it all off tonight, we have an after party for our Galentine's Day participants. So if you received a Galentine's Day kit in the mail, you will also be receiving an email from Jesse James Beads with the Zoom link to join us for a wine and beads after party, where we're going to be making along, hanging out, sipping some wine, chatting with each other, and just having a really nice, relaxed Friday night.
Yay. I'm so excited. It's like a whole night of just beads and fun. I'm so excited about it. I'm really excited to see what Kristen came up with because none of us know what each other was making.
Yeah, that's been really cool about this one because everyone chose their own bead mix or bead strand. So it's been like a grand reveal to see what everyone is creating.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm super excited to get started. I did want to point out before you switch the camera, I am wearing a necklace that hasn't been released on my channel yet. And it was to match the bead soup we did last weekend. So I made this bracelet on the Jesse James Beads Live last weekend, and then I made a matching necklace. So it hasn't been released, but it will be this weekend.
That looks so cool. Yeah, if you guys didn't catch the bead soup, if you haven't seen the bead soup video that Brittany did from the Jesse James channel last weekend, do yourself a favor and go and watch it because that was amazing.
That was a lot of fun. It was a little nerve-wracking trying to figure everything out while live, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing it more. So.
Okay, cool. So I am going to spotlight Brittany's mat and you can give us the grand reveal of your project and then some Friday night making.
Yay. So today we're going to actually make 2 projects. Hopefully we can get all the way through the necklace. I don't think it'll be that difficult. This is going to be probably beginner to medium, like moderate skill level. And we're also going to make a pair of earrings. So I'm super excited. And the cool thing was I got the copper kits. I saw that Wendy and Sarah Ayler got the, I think the silver and black kit. So I was excited to see copper because I thought, you know, copper goes really well with pink and gold. So we're going to do a mixed metal necklace today, which is, it's kind of my take on the floating bead necklace that we used to see, like the illusion necklaces, but we're also going to be using the spinel beading wire and the pink tourmaline beading wire today, along with the heartstone chakra strand and the chain reaction you received in your kit. So there were 2 different chain reactions, I think, right, Sarah? One was pink and one was crystal. Is that right? Oh, Sarah, you might be muted. But I got the pink one and I really loved both. So the clear or the pink will work perfectly for this project. We're going to start with the necklace and we're going to do some kind of surgery on our chain first. So I actually cut apart my chain to liberate all of my pink crystals. So I'm just going to do that. We need 6, and I think there are 7 on each piece of chain reaction. And I know it kind of hurts to take apart this beautiful chain, but it was necessary to get these gorgeous beads onto our necklace. And then you'll have some beautiful chain and connectors for maybe a bracelet down the line. I think that's one of the things I really like about these classes. We show you what you can do, but then you have leftovers to create on your own. I'm just cutting 6 of these apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then in your kits, you also received a lot of crimp tubes. So in this, we're going to use at least 10. We're going to use one of the clasps, and I got a crimp, I'm sorry, not a crimp bead, but a jump ring from my own stash in copper. Now, if you chose a different metal color, I think it'll still work because it's just going to be mixed metal, and just supplement your jump ring from your own stash, no matter what color you have. Okay. I'm going to get my chain out of the way, and then I am going to open up my JJB strand. I always save these little silver ball beads. I know they're kind of like just plastic or metal coated, but I always save them because they come in handy in a pinch. I put them in my metal bead soup, and sometimes I use them in my designs, or sometimes I'll use them to like close off a strand. So I have to try not to throw away anything. This is hence why I'm a bead hoarder, right? So we're going to actually, there are so many steps, or several steps to this necklace. The first thing is we're going to make this a really pretty pendant, and you can choose any of the beads in your kit, but I chose the largest focal, the rose quartz oval, and one of the crystal rondelle spacers, a large big white crystal, and the 2 bead caps. So I'm going to set those aside. There we go. And I'll move this stuff out of the way just for now. And I also received the copper 22 gauge wire. Now, if you didn't get copper, just use whatever color you got. And I'm going to cut, I always cut too much because I'm always worried that I'll need more, but I never do. But I always just save whatever excess I have. So I'm just going to cut a piece. And if you've seen my channel or any of my tutorials before, you've probably seen me do this, but it's a really handy tip to be able to turn your beads into a pendant. Let's say you go through your pendant drawer or your pendant box or however you store your beads, and you say, you know, I just don't have a pendant that matches the beads that I want to use today. Grab one of those beads and I'll show you how to make the pendant. We're going to slide it on to our wire. Okay. And then I am going to bring the wire up the back of the bead, just like that. And then I am going to, for this one, try and do pretty precise wraps, pretty close to each other. Now, if you want to do a messy wrap, you can absolutely do that. And I've done that several times. If I just want to make the bead into a pendant, I'm going to bring that around and I'm going to snip that off. This is great if you don't have a head pin in the color you want, but you have wire. Say you want to make a pair of earrings out of a bead and you don't have a head pin that works, go ahead and use this. And I'm going to grab my pliers, and just to make it a little bit more sturdy so our wire isn't moving around as much, I'm going to grab the back wire in between my pliers and do a little notch just like that. And I'm going to do a second one just for decoration. Now you can choose, because I still think I think it's pretty pretty actually. You can use that as the front of your bead or the front of your pendant if you'd like. You can glue whatever you'd like onto it, a rhinestone, a charm, whatever works. And then I am going to take my crystal rondelle spacer. I'm going to slide that down. Now, the reason why I didn't want to do a messy loop here is because I'm using 22 gauge wire, and the hole in the middle of this spacer is just big enough to slip over my wire wraps. So it's got a nice flush sitting nice and flush against my bead. Then I'm going to put on my bead cap, my bead, and then my second bead cap. Okay, so now we have a piece that you, if you're looking at it this way, you can't see what's going on the back. Or if you're looking at it this way, you have an interesting focal here with the copper. I'm just going to go ahead and wire wrap this down here. So I push my wire back, reposition my pliers, and then come back around over my top mandrel of my pliers, reposition again, and then turn that towards the back. So then I go in and grab my loop. And here I'm not being as precise because I don't need it to fit within that bead. You can make it as messy or as neat as you'd like. Okay, and I'm going to keep my wrap facing forward like that because it's going to slide onto my beading wire. I'll snip off my tail in the back and we have our pendant. If you had 2 strands or you wanted to make your earrings this way, save on some supplies, you can absolutely do that. So I'm going to set that aside for a moment. And then I'm going to get out my trusty dusty ruler. I'm going to measure 2 feet. Sorry, this thing, I had an accident before, like half hour before we went live. I spilled lemonade all over my bead table because I decided to bring a cup into my beading room without a top on it for the first time. And guess how that went.
First and last time for that one.
Right. And I was like, of course it would happen a half hour before I went live. So yeah, my ruler's a little sticky at the moment. Anyway, I am going to cut 2 feet of both the spinel and the pink tourmaline. There were 3 really great colors in that pack that they gave us in our kit from Softflex. I really like Softflex wire. I'm going to, like I said, cut 2 feet. But again, you can cut them any length you want. Depends on how long you'd like your necklace to be. Now I am going to grab one of my crimp tubes, move these this way, and I'm going to slide it on to, my 2 wires. And this is going to be a snug fit. So please forgive me if it takes a few moments for me to get both through there. Here we go. Just going to work it down. I want to make sure they stay lined up. So I'm going to pull my wires evenly. And I'm going to measure 2 inches, 2 inches down, and move my crimp bead to 2 inches. So that's 2 inches down. And then I am going to crimp right here. And I don't have those fancy softflex crimping pliers. I need to get a pair of those, but that make the ravioli. So I'm just going to do the old fashioned style. So I'm going to take my crimp tube and I'm going to set it in the largest valley of my crimping pliers, making sure that my wires aren't crossed. And I'm just going to squish just like that. I love the word squish, so I always say that. And then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and squish again. I'm just going to squish up my beading plier, or my crimp pliers. So the reason I did it like that is because another pass through my crimp bead wasn't possible. So now that's crimped. Those aren't getting separated unless I cut them apart. And now I'm going to trim my, I think this is the pink tourmaline. I'm going to trim that as closely as I can to my crimp tube. And I do want to credit, I think it was Sarah Ayler who told me how to do this when we had our Halloween class, because I crimped all 3 pieces by themselves to the clasp on that bracelet that I made. And she said, oh, you can crimp them to each other and then use one as a crimp. And that is just the most perfect tip that she has given. So I'm going to find my clasp. I know I put one out here, but oh, here it is. And I am going to grab another crimp tube. I'm going to put it straight on to my clasp. And then I'm going to come back through my crimp tube. Sorry, my fingers are in the way. I'm just going to kind of finagle that through.
You know, Brittany was just mentioning about how she learned a tip from Sarah Ayler back during the trick or treat jewelry making event that Softflex and Jesse James did together this past fall. And Brittany, isn't that one of the coolest things about being able to have this online experience is the tips and tricks we're able to pick up from each other and then incorporate into our own making?
Yes, I swear, every time I watch a video from anybody, but especially like the heads of the company we're working with, I feel like we get such a fantastic amount of knowledge behind it. Okay, I'm having a hard time getting this through, but it's because I cut it pretty short, but I have a little bit peeking out. I'm okay. It's in there and I'm just going to crimp. But yes, Sarah, I mean, just the amount of knowledge between Kristen and Sarah is amazing. And all of our other wonderful teachers with Jesse James Beads too.
Amen to that.
All right, so I'm going to crimp here, just like I did before. If you didn't know how to crimp before this video, you're definitely going to know how to after. And then I'm going to keep going. So now here's the one end of the necklace. And then this is where both pieces come in. And I just loved, like, I don't know if you can tell on the camera that those are two different colors, but it just looks so lovey-dovey and Valentine's Day. I don't know if that's a word, but that's just, I think it looks really nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of measure, and you don't have to do it this way. I'm going to give you a couple tips on different ways you could do this as I do it, like the one I made. You can, as you can see on my necklace, my beads are moving around. So they're probably not going to move around too much while you're wearing the necklace. But if you want to save on crimp beads, this is the way to do it, to have your beads moving around. However, if you want them to be stationary, just put another crimp bead on the other side of the bead, and that bead's not going anywhere. It would be locked in, and then it would look like almost like an illusion necklace. If you remember those from like the 90s. You remember those, Sarah?
I sure do.
And then another thing that you could do is maybe put several beads in between, or one bead on the spinel and one on the pink tourmaline, and then come back and crimp down here. I just wanted to give you a couple ideas on a couple different things that you could do.
Yeah, and we love it when you guys make the jewelry and then share in our groups, either the Softflex VIB group or the Jesse James Beads Secret Stash. It's such an honor and a delight to be able to see all of you guys at home take these jewelry ideas and either make it just like the outfit on the mannequin, just as it's shown in class, or go a different way and make it your own.
Yes. And another thing you could do is maybe braid in between the crimps. That would be pretty cool, or twist, I guess. But I'm going to just, these are the measurements that I wrote down. You absolutely can do whatever you'd like. Make your necklace shorter or longer, make a bracelet instead of a necklace. But I am going to, actually, you know what I did? I didn't put my bead in there. So I need to go ahead and put one of my pink crystals. Then put on my crimp bead. And then I'm going to crimp up an 1.5 inches from where I originally crimped. So I'm just going to slide my bead down to that 1.5 mark. And then I'm going to crimp. And I think we said this at the Halloween one that we had, but I gotta say, these crimp tubes are like butter. I sent them back then, but they're amazing. I think Wendy last night said she learned how to crimp better using softflex crimps. I think that's what I heard her say. And I think I only ended up doing an inch there, but that's okay. Then I'm gonna slide on another bead. Another crimp tube. And we're gonna just kind of repeat that at different lengths all around the necklace. Again, if you want it to be totally random, you can. That'd be a lot of fun, I think.
Brittany, I love that you removed the crystals from the chain reaction to use as your crystal, I don't want to say secondary beads because they're really so pretty, but as the crystal kind of accompanying beads.
Yeah, like my little accents. Yeah. I was like, I know I have this chain and I know I have these beads, and thankfully, Jesse James beads just go really well with each other. But the other thing we're thinking is, I don't even think so far none of the designers have used all of the beads from their strand or kit. So if you have leftover beads that you want to get on this wire, go ahead, go for it. I think that would be really pretty. Maybe working in some of those red beads from Sarah's kit, or maybe working in a purple or a bead or two. So we're going to go 3 inches here. Here we go. I'm just going to rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
I got to say, these just make it a lot easier. Sometimes you're like, oh, is it going to crimp? Is it going to crimp? But I don't ever have that question when I'm using these. And then I'm going to do 2.5 inches here. So I'll put on my little crystal.
Brittany, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide the spacing? Like, I know the first one I think was 1.5, and then it was 3 inches, and then now 2. Did you have that in mind, or did you just kind of go with it and then measure after the fact?
So I originally was just going to do 1.5, and I was like, oh, I don't have enough beads for that. And then it wasn't getting down towards the front very much, but I think it kind of naturally flowed. And then the next one I was like, oh, 3 inches looks good. And then I was like, okay, 2.5 will look good here. And then we're at the pendant, and it kind of just draped pretty well when I did it that way.
Yeah, the necklace design, the sample that you have there looks so beautiful. It looks like it has a very organic look to it, like not so spaced out and stagnant, like.
Right. Mm-hmm. I totally understand what you mean. So we're at 2.5 here, and I could be wrong on all of these, and then we'll just kind of end up with a wonky necklace, but I think I measured it right. Because I did end up going back to like measure afterwards just to make sure. And then we will turn it 90 degrees and squish again. All right, so we have our 3 crystals on. This is where I'm going to hang my pendant. Now, I do have a tip here. My pendant on my original sample necklace does move over these crimp beads, so it's not going to stay in the section you put it. If you don't put, let's say you could put like a smaller bead right here and a smaller bead right there, and then crimp those in place, that'll hold your pendant in place. However, when your necklace is hanging, it's going to stay, at the front. It's not going to migrate to the back of your necklace. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So go ahead and put this in. And then I'm going to put on another crimp. And then we're just going to work up the other side of the necklace, just like we did this side. How are we doing on time, Sarah?
You're doing good. We are at the halfway mark.
Okay, cool.
My Galentine Valentine is in the crowd. Susan Simmons. Hey, girl.
Ooh.
And she is commenting a beautiful compliment to you, Brittany, saying that this is beautiful. Aww. Learning so much already.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Susan.
Okay. So we have a few more to do, and then we'll move on to, and I got to say, those earrings designed themselves, or whoever designed that strand designed them for me. But they were beautiful. Those stones together are just beautiful, because right when I opened that strand, I was like, well, we're making an earring that looks just like this. And I kind of felt like it'll look like a perfume bottle. I just felt like it was a really like nice perfume bottle, which tends to be a Valentine's Day gift. So I'm trying to work this one on. Sometimes you have to angle I think Wendy said it last night, they get a little bit more blunt as you go, or sometimes the two just don't want to work together anymore. So you might want to give them a little trim, and I'm just going to do that at an angle. Very little off. I'm sharp. Here we go. And if you're new to crimping, just be patient. I think the biggest mistake we tend to make crimping is going too quickly and not taking the time to make sure our beads are notched, or crimp beads are notched correctly. And that can be your downfall. I can't tell you how many times I've had to crack off a crimp because I was going too quickly. So, all right, so we're going to do 2.5 here. But you know what, going up the other side, it's a little bit easier. I know I should measure, but I kind of go and just match up the beads going up the other side instead of measuring, because it's quicker. So I'm just gonna put this up this side, make sure that my two crimp beads are even, like that. And then I'm gonna crimp right there.
That's a really good tip too, Brittany, because I know I hear this sentiment echoed a lot in the comments, and especially with designers, like, oh, I don't really measure too often.
Yep.
It's like, if you're not measuring with the ruler, then how are you getting those beads so perfectly aligned?
That's just do one side and then kind of wing it going up the other side, which is my motto. I wing it a lot of things these days. So I'm just going to add on my next bead. Yeah, I did measure going down the other side, which I don't know why I ended up measuring anyway, because it was such a random amount of measurements. But I definitely, when I was going up the second side, just held them together, and it actually works out better that way, because what if your measurement ends up being off? Oh. We want to make sure that we keep our wires even and don't get like a gap kind of like that. Did I not put on I didn't put on my crystal again. So there we go. We only have 2 crystals left.
Jenny, I agree with you so much. Jenny is saying that the 2 strands, the 2 softflex color wire together are so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I really like that. All 3 of those are really pretty. The I can't remember the name of the third one, and it's just such a unique pink. It's like really, it's almost like neon bubblegum pink, and I haven't seen anything like that before. So I'm excited to use it. I just didn't use it in this project. I'm gonna grab my wires and kind of scooch this down. There we go. All right. So we have those lined up. There we go. We are getting everything lined up. Again, like I said, take your time. Don't go too quickly, because then you might be able to get the crimp off, but you might mar your wire if you've already crimped correctly. And we don't want to do that. We want it to be beautiful. So we'll go ahead and crimp again. Then we'll get to our last crystal, and then I think we only have 2 more crimps to do. So this one is just the last one, crimping together. And then we will trim our pink tourmaline and crimp our spinel onto our jump ring to close off the necklace. And you have a leftover crystal on your chain reaction if you want to do like a crystal drop on the back. Okay. So again, I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and crimp this. We're going to make sure that everything is lined up. Again, if you don't mind your necklace being not lined up, that's totally it'll look great too. Don't worry about being too precise. If you're not like a precise person, no biggie. So this one was about 1.5 inches. So we're going to crimp. We're going to turn it sideways. Okay, now I am going to trim off the excess wire of the pink tourmaline. Like that. I'm going to keep this. I can use that on a bracelet later or a necklace. And then I'm going to make sure that my jump ring is completely closed, because most times when you get a jump ring, they have a little bit of a gap. We want to make sure that we completely close that. So I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth, getting that as close as possible. I'm going to take my spinel, wiggle it through. Come back down through my crimp tube and kind of pull it to where I need it to be. And I actually have some excess here, so I'm going to keep moving it down until I get to about this far away from my crimp. All right, I'm going to make sure that these line up. Again, not a super big issue if they don't. There we go, we're close. I am just going to crimp this. Turn it. Crimp again. And our necklace is complete after we cut off our secondary tail. Now you want to be careful because I've done this and on camera before. I've cut the main wire. We don't want to do that. But here is our finished necklace. And then I think what I'm going to do really quickly is show you how you can put on a little charm on the back. And I'm just going to use some of that copper wire. There we go. Not the best at getting these little plastic things off, but we don't need a bunch. We're just going to take that much. I'm going to do a tiny wrapped loop. Just like that. You can use a head pin here too if you don't have wire, or you don't want to do a wire wrapped loop. You could just use a head pin, because this will have a little loop on the end. I'm going to take that extra crystal. Hopefully I can find where I put it. Here she is. Put that on. And do a quick wire wrap. Make that a little bit smaller. And then put it on my little jump ring to accompany the back of the necklace, or to embellish the back of the necklace, I should say. Take this off. Click that in, and then we'll just take our pliers and hold it while I wire wrap around.
Brittany, Prudence is asking what kind of softflex wire this is. I think Prudence, are you asking about the craft wire that Brittany's working with right now?
Yeah, this is the non-tarnished copper. So we all got different colors, and there, I think you could choose, I don't remember, Sarah. I know there was black, I know there was copper, and I think the other one was gold. But everybody got some of the craft wire in their softflex kit.
This is cute what you've done to the back here.
Thank you. Normally I would probably use a head pin there, but you can also like hang a charm if you have, I don't know what Kristen's planning to do, but I think she's using some of her charms. If you don't use your charm, you can hang it on the back, whatever you would like. So there's our finished necklace, and there's the back, but it could very easily be the front because I think it looks pretty cool. And then we have some beads moving around the place. Click clacking.
Clickety clack. That's so pretty, Brittany. I love
Thank you. Thank you. I am going to do a pair of earrings super quickly. I did set aside 2 head pins from my own stash for this. And then I grabbed 2 of the ear wires from the softflex kit. And this is the earring we're making. And if you still have your full strand, you'll notice that Jesse James Beads really designed this earring, except for I changed out the bead in the middle there. So I need these 2 barrels. I need 2 of these really large crystal rondelle spacers, these 2 larger spacer beads, then these fantastic focals, like these bead frames are just so cool. They're twisted. And inside of the bead frames, they on the strand, you had the faceted rondelles, but I really liked how the English cut beads ended up looking. So I put those inside with each one has 2 smaller crystal rondelle spacers. So that's a lot of beads for 2 earrings. But I think they look super cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. This is like, I don't even know that this is a tutorial. It's just really, really easy to make. Probably the most beginner you can get for an earring. And then just going to stack away. So I have my 3 beads. Now, the only thing that's going to be slightly difficult with this earring is making sure you stack your bead frame or your bead sandwich here. So I'm going to put on my crystal rondelle spacer, then my English cut rose quartz, and then come down a little bit more and put on my next spacer. So this is where it's a little, okay, we tipped it in there. It looks good. And I am just going to make a bend. This is going to be a simple loop because I don't have a whole lot of room left. Oh, and I didn't even do that correctly. So that's why we want to take our time. I went over through the side instead of my beads. There we go. Looks better. We just are going to make a quick bend with our fingernail or your pliers, and then come back. And we have a simple loop. You want to do that as tightly as possible so no beads try to escape. There we go. So there's one. I'm just gonna make the second one pretty quickly. Nice 5-minute pair of earrings.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And I really enjoy how you're showing us how to do this part, Brittany, because I think adding beads to a bead frame like this can sometimes be a little bit daunting. And you might think, oh, no, it's not going in. I have to leave that space of the wire between the bead and the frame. But actually, if you just take your time, like Brittany's showing us right now, you can just kind of line it up right and let it drop on in.
Yeah, I get frustrated with the best of them, but you just like, I try to take my own advice. Just take a deep breath and you'll get it. You just might have to do it 2 or 3 times or 10 times. Like I have to do something sometimes, but you'll get it done. And then we have a cute little like perfume bottle pair of earrings. I'm gonna take my softflex ear wires, slip them on, and close them right up. And again, 5 minute pair of earrings that look expensive because we've got some gemstones hanging with some beautiful rhinestones.
Man, oh man, they really do look like perfume bottles too. They're so cute. They're flirty.
Aren't those fun? Oh, I grabbed one, but I love them. Like I gotta say, Sarah, whoever designed this strand, they did a good job. They did a really great
Casey
job.
Ackerman from the Jesse James Bees design team. She's a working
awesome.
wonder.
Tell her I said kudos.
I will do that. She'll be happy to hear it from you also.
Well, thank you.
Real quick before we come back up here, I forget who had asked this, but I have not forgotten the question. And that was, could you show one more time how to do the wire and turn your bead into a pendant like the way that you did?
I sure can. Let me see if I have, you know what, I'll just cut one apart because I have a lot of this wire. So we'll cut the sample apart and do it all over again. So I just chose whatever beads you want, whatever beads you like. I would just use another Jesse James bead that I have around me, but thankfully I've learned how to organize and I actually put everything away today.
Gosh,
I don't have anything out. So I'm just gonna grab, I always take too much wire, but better safe than sorry. It was funny because I did something with a crazy amount of wire on my channel and one of the commenters wrote, Brittany, don't you know that there's a wire shortage? And I was like, I'm sorry. I think they were joking, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and slip this through my bead. And what I'm gonna do, and what you have to decide what side you like as the front of your bead. You're gonna fold your wire, kind of guide it with your thumb or your finger. And I'm gonna take it up the back side of my bead. Okay, so it's just like folded in there. Okay, like it's a little resting place for the bead. It's a great way to turn your bead into a head pin. And then I'm gonna take my shorter wire. I'm gonna just very easily take it around the front. It doesn't matter which side. Take it around the front of my longer wire. And then I'm gonna bring it back around. And I'm gonna do that as many times as I'd like. So in this instance, I'm doing it 3 times. I'm trying to keep this one very uniform because of the beads that I use, but most of the time I can't be bothered and I do a messy wrap. So I'm just gonna snip here like that. And then what the other technique I showed was, this is kind of slipping around. You see how it's moving? We're gonna take our pliers, and they usually flat nose really works. And then, or is this chain nose? I can never tell the difference between flat nose and chain nose. I think these are chain nose. And then I'm gonna grab my wire. You wanna have a firm grip and then twist. And then I did 2 twists with this one. It kind of looks like a little lightning bolt. And you might want to be careful, more careful than I just was, because I got a notch in my wire. But now it's not moving anywhere, pushing on it, and it's not flipping around like it was before. So that's how you make a pendant. And then I just kind of chose the beads that I wanted to stack on top.
So cool how you were able to use that to slip that bead right over your neatly wrapped section.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to just look for a larger whole bead. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but today it worked. And then we're just going to wire wrap the top.
Yeah, good to know too, because I believe the hole to that bead is 2 millimeters wide. So that is telling that if you do this trick with your 22 gauge wire, which is the craft wire that Softflex provided, and you get yourself a 2 millimeter hole bead, then you can hide the wire wrap with that 2 milli hole.
I'm trying to slip this on because of I originally put it on the wire as a bead, but I don't think my brain's working. Okay, my brain wasn't working in the right way for me to figure out how to do it. So then I'm gonna go ahead and just hold on to that loop and slowly wire wrap this. Now this is very malleable, so it's easy for me to use this with my fingers. But if you have dexterity issues, which I do sometimes, it's totally just super easy to grab your pliers and wire wrap that way. You don't have to use your fingers, especially with like arthritis or something like that, or carpal tunnel. Both very painful, but there you go. I'm just gonna snip my wire. I'm gonna turn it to the back. There we go. And then you just kind of finagle it and you're good.
So cute. Such a fun set, Brittany.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope everybody learned.
Wear one to share.
Right.
It's very Galentine's-y of you.
Yeah, I gotta pass those along to somebody. Maybe do a giveaway or something in my group so somebody can get a pretty necklace for Valentine's Day. There we go.
Super cute. I'm going to
Thank
take
you.
the spotlight off so we can see Brittany, and we have a new friend in the room with us here. Thank you, Brittany, for that amazing tutorial.
Thank you.
And welcome to Kristen. We can't hear you.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Happy Galentine's Day.
Kristen, I saw you in the comments. Did you not love this project that Brittany just put together?
Oh, it was beautiful, Brittany. It's really, really pretty. You shared so many wonderful tips along the way, and those barrels for the earrings are just perfect.
Oh, thanks, Kristen. I cannot wait to see what you make. I've been waiting all day. I'm ready for it. Your earrings are adorable.
I ended up going with the bubblegum pink wire because my design kind of could have went with any of them. So since everyone else didn't use it, I was like, well, maybe I should just show that wire today. So I'm going to go with that one. And it's sort of illusion style-ish as well. So that's going to be kind of fun.
Great minds. Great minds. Well, I'm so excited to see it.
Yay.
Oh
And
my
Brittany,
goodness.
I think you live not that far from me. We might have to actually see each other in real life one day.
Yes, definitely. I think I'm in Phoenix, so I know we live pretty close to each other.
Yep. I'm in Mesa. So yeah, totally. We'll have to make that happen one of these days.
Yes, for sure.
Galentine's just bringing everybody together. Isn't that wonderful?
It is nice. It is really nice. Thanks for hosting this, Sarah Jane.
Oh
with
my
us,
gosh, you
Softflex
betcha. It
Company.
is our pleasure. Jesse James Beads loves putting on events like this. It's just so fun to be able to, one, put the kit together, two, work with brands that we love, three, work with designers that we admire and are so inspired by, and four, get to put something so cool together as a community for all of us beaders, creatives, makers, hobbyists, side hustlers, you name it, that are here in our audience that we call our online beady friends. So thank you to everyone that has been joining us last night and tonight. And thank you to both of our amazing designers. Brittany, today was fantastic.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm looking forward to this new class, and I'm gonna skedaddle. Miss Goldie wants her dinner.
Bye, Brittany. Bye, Brittany.
Bye, Brittany.
Bye.
At the party.
Yeah, you totally nailed it. It's a win-win-win-win. 4 wins, right?
All the wins. We're all totally winning.
We're all about winning right now. Winning with our gals. It's super fun. And yeah, I stepped away just about 10 minutes ago from commenting to like stuff my face with some peanut butter and jelly because I realized, oh, I didn't make dinner and I'm not gonna make dinner. I better take something quick because we got an after party to go to too. And you know, we don't want to be shaken.
I just want to give like one more quick shout out before we get going with this, Kristen. Brittany Chavers was just on here. You can find her. Sarah Ayler just dropped a link. And also Brittany has a group here on Facebook called Brittany's Beads. And she's always doing a lot of really fun contests and just like really cool community events there. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that group if you're on Facebook and like interacting like I know you all do.
I don't think I'm in that group, so I'm gonna have to go join that after this.
You'll have to join. She'll do like,
it's hard to keep track.
yeah, there's so much stuff going on, but Brittany will do like 30-day earring challenges or like create one piece of jewelry for, I don't know. She gets everybody's juices flowing, and I think it's a really cool thing. So shout out to you, Brittany.
Yay! Oh, creative challenges are one of my favorite things. So,
Oh yeah.
I'll definitely have to check that out. What was the name of the group again?
It's Brittany's Beads.
Brittany's Beads. Awesome.
Kristen, we have a teeny tiny delay from when your mouth moves and when we hear you speak, which isn't totally jarring for me, but I just wanted to, I don't know if that's.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wonder if I put headphones in, if it'll be better. Let's try it.
Maybe give it a shot. Yeah. And while you are, guys, I want to fill you in also that Kristen Fagan is an amazing artist. All of these paintings that are behind her are paintings that she has painted herself. So not only is she an amazing jewelry maker and has been with Softflex company for quite some time now, but Kristen is also an incredible painter artist. And Kristen, you also have a personal page on Facebook that people can come and watch jewelry making and also painting. Is that correct?
I do. So how does the sound seem now with the headphones in? Are we still delayed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all right.
I'm on Facebook as Kristen Fagan Art and Design, and you can find me on Instagram at Kristen Fagan, and you can find me in my own Facebook group called Discover Your Creative Magic, where I do all sorts of creativity things in there. Mostly painting and drawing because those are my other passions, but I do welcome everyone to share whatever they're working on creatively. It's more about creative living.
I love that so much. And I also love how you and Sarah Ayler are like the ultimate Galentine's Valentines. You two have been creative buddies and buddies for a really long time.
We have, yeah, we've worked together for, it'll be 19 years at Softflex for me this year. And we worked together previously in another bead store company. That's actually how we met. So we've probably been working together around 20 years, which is crazy. I've been married to my husband for 20 years last year. So they're neck and neck. My work life and my real life husband, Bird.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing.
For sure.
You know, and I really.
So what does that say about me? I'm a loyal Leo.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're a Leo. I love that. I knew I liked you. I'm a Libra. Libras and Leos get along very well. So I knew I liked you.
One of my besties growing up is a Libra. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, and that's like so nice to, you know, honor our friends and say hello and just to really think about those that are near and dear to us around the Valentine's Day. It doesn't need to be just about romantic love. It can really be a day to cherish and send some gratitude and some love and hugs and appreciation to the gal pals that are in our life. Hence the Galentine's jewelry making party.
100%. I love it. And I love how Brittany said, one for me, one for you. Maybe that's what I'll do too, because we're going to have two of the design that we're making today. So I might have to gift one away to one of my gal pals.
Yay.
In addition to my Galentine that I'm giving another design to. I don't know what she's getting yet. Catherine, if you're out there watching. All right.
Amazing.
So should we flip me down and get going here?
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. This is the final great reveal. So Kristen will be our final designer in the Galentine's jewelry making party with Jesse James Beads and Softflex. We have no idea what she has for us. And I myself am very excited. And I'm sure everyone else is too. Let's spotlight Kristen's camera so we can get a really close look.
Let's see if I can get down a little bit closer to
it's always a little different when you come into the program versus when you
Just my little mild turbulence.
yeah, little mild turbulence. Okay,
Awesome.
and then I'm gonna slide this over too. So
Well,
we had
fun.
so many pretties in this particular package this time. It was really fun, and I love that each of the designers got to pick a specific item to work with. I think that was really awesome. It made it a little easier on all of us too, I think. I think it worked out really well. I'm going to be using this Mimosa Mini Mix, which is gorgeous with golds and coppers and champagne colors, all sorts of goodies. I've taken out the beads that I need already. And we're gonna make a pair of earrings. Just like so.
Cute.
And we're gonna, aren't they cute? And then we're gonna also make a bracelet that's somewhat illusion style. And I did this with the pink tourmaline color first, but I found when we were talking about what everyone was making is that everyone was using spinel and pink tourmaline. So I thought, well, let me show on the video using the pink rhodochrosite. So out of the 3 colors, I'm going to use the bubblegum pink here on the video. So it'll be fun and bright, but I use the pink tourmaline in this little example here. And then you can also really use the spinel. I think these beads match any of them. So as long as you have enough wire left, you can go with any color you want. We're going to use 3.5 feet between the bracelet and the earrings. So I'm going to pick up this one here to work with.
Kristen, these
and
designs
just on the
are so
earrings,
fun.
there's not a huge difference between the wire colors on the earrings. You really will notice it more on the bracelet because I did the one on the right with the bubblegum pink rhodochrosite, and then I did the one on the left with the pink tourmaline. And so you just see a slight difference, but you'll really notice it when we do the bracelet instead. So we're going to do the earrings first. And the beads you'll need are 2 of these lovely little 4-leaf clover looking beads. And you'll need 4 total, 2 per earring of these little rectangles. And you'll need 8 total, 4 per earring of these tiny little copper colored rondelles that were in the mix. So we'll make 1 earring together. And then I'll move on to the bracelet. This way we have hopefully enough time to get it all done. Janet is asking 3.5 feet for what size bracelet? So we're going to use 30 inches for the bracelet, and that is a 7-inch bracelet. Because you're doing this loopy style, it ends up that there's a lot of wire kind of hanging out around each of the beads. And then we're going to do 6 inches for each of the earrings, which is probably a little bit more than you need, but I do like to have enough. You're going to have 2 of your lockets. I've got the gold set, meaning I got the gold craft wire in my kit and the gold findings. You might have the silver or the copper. I think any of them will work because your findings will all match regardless. I'm going to cut this one free off of that earring. And you're going to use 2 crimps per earring and 2 crimps for the bracelet, so a total of 6 crimps. Oh, it was so nice to have so many crimps in this package to play with this time. I think there were 50 total, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a bang up deal for those of you out there that did go ahead and get the softflex kit and the Jessie Chaves kit, or well, at least got the softflex kit, because those crimp beads are really something else, Kristen. Everyone really loves them.
Yeah, they're the best. And, it makes such a big difference, and you can't have too many crimp beads. If you're working with beading wire, you cannot have too many crimp beads. All right, so we're going to start by taking 6 inches of our pink rhodochrosite, and I'm stringing on one of the crimps, which is a 2x2 millimeter gold-filled crimp tube. And then I'm going to string on one of these little heart lockets. How awesome are these? I just think these are super cute.
They're really adorable.
The minute I saw them, I was like, I have to use those. I didn't know if I was going to make earrings or put a little charm on, but they just were too cute to not make earrings. So I'm going to take one end, and it's going to be my shorter end, and go back up through my crimp tube to make a loop for the bottom. Pull the longer wire so I make that little loop. And then I'm going to make sure my wires are parallel together. Just kind of grab a hold of them. And then using my magical crimping pliers, place that crimp tube right inside the center of the notch. Just like so. You kind of feel it in there. Give it a good squeeze. It will make a ravioli. And turn it on its side and place it back in that notch again. Give it another squeeze, and then I just kind of pump and squeeze a few times, rotating it around. So what that does is really kind of help create that nice round shape. But if that crimp pops out of the center of those magical crimpers, it will smash it a little bit. So it does take practice, but it's super worth it, I think, because it's just such a great little connection. Looks like a little bead. So then you're going to pick up your champagne covered little clover looking bead, and that's going to slide down next. Sue is saying the candy in the kit was such a nice touch. Yeah, I pulled it out because I don't think anyone mentioned it. And I was like, I don't even know what candy this is. I'm going to have some. Is it like a mint maybe?
Yeah, Sarah was saying in case you want to go give someone a kiss, then you can have your mint first.
Oh, I missed her saying that. Cute. Thinking of everything over there, Miss Sarah. All right, so we're going to string on our first 3 beads, which is the tiny rondelle, the rectangle in the cream color, and then another tiny rondelle. And then you're just going to take the end of the wire, and I'm going to feed it back up the bottom of that bead. So the key for this design is that your bead has to fit softflex medium beading wire, which is what I'm using, 3 times, and that does. And then I'm just going to pull it down. I want this little rectangle to kind of sit on the side. It's a little finicky, but it totally works. You just go slow, which is not always my specialty. But there you go. And it just kind of hangs out around. You probably have seen stuff like this with thread or wax, and you kind of bead all around the bead. Because of the different shapes in this mix, they just kind of sit a little bit differently. And I thought it was really interesting the way they fit on there. So once you kind of go around and you're going back up your bead, then you're going to string on your other 3 beads, same pattern, the little rondelle, the rectangle, and the little rondelle again. Just like so. And now we're going to take this end and feed it back up the bead too. Now, if your bead got super close to your crimp and you don't have any room, you might have to wiggle it up a little bit to get into the bead hole. And now we're just going to pull that one through. And just take your time so that you can kind of get it situated. So I just pull a little bit and kind of push my beads back, and then pull a little bit and push my beads back. Because some of your beads are going to want to kind of come to the bottom. Are you getting any questions, Sarah?
I'm just in awe of this design. I think it's so cool. So creative.
Isn't it cute?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You know, I did a pair of earrings last week that I was trying to do on the reel for Softflex Company because I thought they were similar in this design. Totally different look though, because it was different beads, and I could not get the reel to work for me. And so I spent like an hour on it, and I got so frustrated. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find something in this Galentine kit that's going to let me do a similar idea and give it another go. And I just love it.
Oh, I am glad that we can be
so
here.
It's one of those, yeah, it's one of those, you know, didn't quite work out. Not everything works. I had a bit of a failure that day, but it turned into this wonderful design because I was destined to make something with the same type of technique. So now that I have one wire left kind of coming up, I just strung on my crimp tube again, and I'm going to make my loop. And now you want your loop to go left to right because you're going to be putting it on the top of your ear wire. So just keep that in mind, that you have to take your wire and feed it down on the crimp in a way that it's going to be left to right. My crimp is running away from me. This is why it's nice to have a little extra wire when you're working, so that when your crimps and your beads kind of run away, you have space to wiggle them back in. When you're working with really short pieces of wire, that's when it can get super frustrating. And again, just take your time, like start making the loop and then push your crimp down and then pull on the tail to get your loop a little bit smaller until you're happy with where it is. You're also going to want to think about where your wires are going before you crimp. And what I mean by that is this wire in the back. You just want to make sure that once you crimp it down, this loop is going to stay in this position and not try twisting around. So once you're ready, get your crimping pliers. You put that crimp right in the center notch if you're using a pair of magical crimpers, or you can just use whatever crimping pliers you like to use. Give it a good squeeze. It'll make that 4-corner ravioli. That's how you know you were nice and centered, when you've got the 4 little notches. And then put it back in that little notch there, 90 degrees, squeeze, and then go around a few times to round it all out. And then you can take your cutters, and I have a pair of flush cutters, which means one side is real flush, and take that right up. I take that flat side right up to my crimp and trim it as close as I can get it. And now we're just going to add our little ear wire. Struggling a bit just does help us learn prudence, for sure. I do a lot of that. I'm learning all the time.
You
And
know,
just
one of my
string.
first experiences with softflex wire was at Bead Fest so many years ago. And I bought myself a trio of softflex wire because I loved the way the softflex wire looked when the Jesse James beads were around it. Like I liked letting the wire show and having the wire kind of dance and trickle through the different bead stories that I would try to tell.
Yeah, it works together instead of just being something that is practical, you know, like, and it is practical, but when you're able to have all those fun colors to play with, you can really let them talk and communicate and kind of sing together a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right, so we got our earrings done and we're going to move on to our bracelet. Let's see where my wire went. So now is where you're going to need 30 inches of wire for the bracelet. And you may have a little bit left over. My bracelet is 7 inches. So you might not need as much if you're working with a little bit smaller. So if you were to take, I mean, it's kind of 4 times, 28 would be 4 times, plus I added 2 more inches just to have a little extra to work with. So that might help if you are trying to figure out how much you need. And where did I put? Oh, there it is. And we'll need our lobster clasp. And we'll need 2 more crimp tubes for this. And then, of course, all of our beads out of the gorgeous Mimosa bead mix. So I kind of sorted all my beads over here already. I'll lay them out in the pattern here so we can see what we're working with. Brittany says this bracelet's so fancy. It does have a very fancy feel to it. And I feel like the bright pink is gonna kind of make it feel a little bit more flirty and fun. And the pink tourmaline, which is the one I have here, had a very neutral vibe to it. And then if you went with the spinel, I think you would get like a very rich kind of feel. So it's neat to see like how the change in the color of the wire changes the overall feeling of it. Even just using all the same other components and beads. So here's my pattern. I've got those little rectangles that match the earrings at the end. Then I have 1 each of these kind of gold brassy fire polish. And if you need to make your bracelet a little longer, you can add 2 more of these because there's more in the mix that I didn't use. There's 2 more. Then I've got 2 of these clear frosted rondelles. These 2 copper, and these are so pretty, Sarah. I don't know. This is like such a great cut on here.
It
It's
really
so
is.
faceted.
Yeah, I love any bead that
And then
has a bit of matte to it. A little matte
yeah,
finish.
I like that where you've got sort of, some of them are matte and some of them aren't. So it makes it, oh, I'm off camera. It makes it super interesting. I love it.
And this one.
And then this gorgeous focal, yeah, which screams for earrings too, of course, but you know, you need a focal. So there it is. I was like, I'm kind of sad to only be using one of them.
But you know what? This is the part
like,
where if you wanted to, this is the part where you could totally go off on your own because these are the only beads that are being used for this project is coming from this Mimosa kit. So if you have the kit at home and want to make this and decided that you wanted to stack it up with 3 of those sparkly beads in the middle, you totally could.
You totally could. You can totally change it. So let me talk a little bit about why I put them in the pattern that I put them in. And I did it because when you're working with this sort of, we call it a ladder stitch. I don't know if it's truly a ladder stitch, but the way they kind of go down in shape, really kind of works and makes this, if they're all different, it still could work, but it's not going to be quite as like neat. You know what I'm saying? Like the kind of going from the top and going down makes a lot of sense. I'll show you this bracelet I have on right now. I did a similar design in the red with red fire polish, and this alternates two different sizes, like a 6mm and an 8mm. But when you have something that's similar in size, it really works. And when you get too much variation, it gets a little tougher. So that's why I went from largest to smallest, so that it had a kind of gradation in that size. Okay, so to get our bracelet started, let's move this one up actually. We're gonna string on our lobster clasp right into the center. So find the center of your 30 inches. And then we're gonna string on our crimp tube and bring that all the way down towards our clasp. And here, this part is important. I know we talk about having parallel wires when you're working, and it's not always as important, but it is important in certain situations when you want it to lay a certain way. And in this particular design, you do want to figure out, okay, I want to make these parallel for sure. So what I do when I'm like not sure if these are crisscrossing is I hold on to the crimp tube and then I just pull on one of the wires. So this is my wire on the left, and I pull on it, and it's moving the right side. So that means it is switched. So now I just pull it over, kind of straighten them out, and then I'll do it again. I'll hold on to my crimp tube and make sure that I got it in the right place. So now I'm pulling on the left, and the left side is going down. And if I'm pulling on the right, I see the right side going down. I know that that is parallel. And then I can just hold on to that and crimp. I hope you were able to see what I was doing and understand what I meant. But really, I'm just sort of pulling slightly on the tails to see which side of the loop is moving up and down to tell if it's parallel. And again, I realized I had to share that with you guys because I was doing a sample and I didn't have them parallel, and it was like getting really wonky. And I was like, what is happening here? My other one didn't get wonky. And then I realized, oh, I have to make sure these are parallel. That is important in this design. So now we're going to put both strands down this rectangle. Thanks, Brittany. I saw that you guys were talking about that, I think, too, with Wendy yesterday with the wire guardians a little bit. So that's another reason why I was like, ooh, let's discuss making these parallel. So then after I have that strung, I want to separate my wires, kind of one going left, one going right. And I'm going to pick up my first bead. I'm going to feed the left side left to right through that bead. And then I'm going to feed the right side wire right to left. And then just pull that down till it gets, I just hold on my bead and kind of go back and forth till it gets close to my first bead. And you want to center it. So when you were making your little structure there, you want to make sure your bead is nice and centered. And we're just going to repeat that all the way through our bracelet. So you go to your next bead and you take your left wire left to right. You take your right wire right right to left. And then you just pull it down. Easy for me to say. That was a tongue twister.
Kristen, are you taking these
So
loops and making them as tight as possible?
well, I am going to get them tight, but your first couple of loops, they're going to bounce back. So you're going to pull this down, and as soon as you let go, it's going to give a little bit. So what you got to do is get another one on there and then come back and look at the one before it. So I'll share that with you as I go. So you get it kind of close, but see how even just putting it down, it kind of bounces back a little bit. So you'll work with your tension as you add more beads. Do you have any plans for Valentine's Day, Miss Sarah James?
I do actually, but it's a little bit of a secret.
Ooh, secret
Um,
plans.
yeah, well, we may have some family in town the weekend beforehand, and then we have a little bit of an excursion on Valentine's Day, and I can't reveal it here on Facebook, but when I can,
Yay!
when I can later, I will share. It's just on the hush right now.
I put you on the spot.
No, but I mean, no, that's fine. Absolutely. Kristen, I'll turn the question to you. Do you have any plans for Valentine's Day?
I do. I'll share them in just a second. So now you'll see that I'm added another bead. I'm going to go and pull these wires so that first bead gets closer to the bottom one, and then go to the next one. And so as you add more beads, now this one will stay, this one will pop up. And so the next one I add, I will do the same thing to the one below it. Does that make sense? So for Valentine's Day this year, my youngest kiddo, who is 15, he is in a youth symphony group. He loves to play violin, and they are putting on a Valentine's Day concert. So they will be all romantic, classical music being played for the concert. And so that is what we're going to be doing.
That is beautiful in so many ways, Kristen.
Yeah, it's nice. At first I was like, when they first said it, I was like, oh, a concert on Valentine's Day. And then I was like, and he goes, it's going to be all romantic songs. And I was like, oh, you know what? That actually is going to be really nice. So we usually go. I was like, you're right. That's going to be great.
I think that sounds really
So
nice.
each little way, you'll just kind of play with your tension and kind of pull the ones before it, and then it'll start to line up. They'll start to get in line, get it together. But my husband's birthday is on the 13th, and so his birthday has now become Galentine's Day because it usually wasn't growing up, but it is now Galentine's Day.
What a lucky gal.
So he's always had to deal with it. Yeah, he's always had to deal with sharing his birthday with Valentine's Day. It works out well, though. A lot of times we used to go to Sedona when my kids were little, and we could travel. My mother-in-law would watch them, and we'd go for just like 2 nights or 1 night and celebrate his birthday and Valentine's Day together.
You know, I love Arizona so much. There's some chatter over here in the chat on the side about Tucson and people getting excited or just wondering about it. And I'm so looking forward to getting to spend some time in the desert. I missed it last year, and it's definitely something that I personally look forward to being able to go to, to represent Jesse James beads, of course, and to just be able to get so inspired by the beads and the surroundings and just Arizona in general. And Arizona is such a fabulous, fabulous place.
It is a cool place, and Tucson's lovely. I am excited you're going to get down there. That's nice. How long are you going for?
We'll be there for a week.
Sweet. We, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but you know, last year I just went for a little while, like just for the day, because it's not too far. So you can do a day trip if you want to from where I'm at. And yeah, I haven't decided yet, but it's so fun. Oh, I just can't wait till everyone can go back again and people can travel easily. And, you know, it's just such a great event and super inspiring for lots of reasons.
Yeah, Kristen, well, if you find
Okay.
yourself into Tucson, you be sure to let me know.
I will. There's a few places I really try to hit up every time, and I didn't get there last year. So who knows? Maybe I will make it this year. It's definitely easier to tighten as you go, Susan. So I just a little bit though, like just a couple below. And I will say, when you get to this large one, I kind of did it, we were chatting, but the wire really tries to pull back because there's so much more space between the larger beads. But don't stress out about it. Just do a couple of more. You just want to go like a few down below. I would say the one, maybe two. But if you waited to the whole thing, then you'd be pulling through each and every bead and won't be quite as easy, especially if some of them are really off. So my suggestion is for each one you put on, just do the one below it, maybe the one below that. Stephanie says, Tucson bead shows are on my bucket list. Yeah, it's a great bucket list item. I took my parents the last time. It was 2020 Tucson that I went to, and I took them down. And yeah, it was a lot of fun because I always talk about it. I've always gone. My family's in New York, so they have no idea what Tucson, you know, what the Tucson bead show is and what it's like. And it was great to be able to take my parents and show them. And of course, we did not have enough time. We should have spent the night or two. We just went for the day. And I was like, there's so much more to see.
That looks
All
so
right.
cool.
We're almost there. We're almost there. So fun. And what's also fun with softflex is it does have a little give because it's flexible. So I've done this design even without a clasp. If you make it large enough to fit over your wrist right here like a bangle, you can just slide it on because it'll have a tiny bit of give between those beads every time. And then it springs back when you get it on your wrist. So pretty cool. So after you get that last bead on, then you're going to put both strands through the little rectangle bead, just like you did on the first side. And again, you're just going to want to center it. So you want to make sure this shape here at the end is center. So you'll pull on each of your tails until you get it right in the middle or close to it, to the eye.
It's almost
And then you're going to slide.
the way those beads line up.
Right? Isn't it neat how it's like while you're working, you'll see them kind of go a little funky. And somehow, once you get all the way to the end, they straighten themselves out and they get in line.
Get in line, beads.
Yep. So fun. And they're great when they're by themselves. And then this was a design I did where it was a 3-strand. So I used that technique on the middle strand and then just strung beads on the other two. And I thought it was like super fun to have them all kind of stacked up like that.
Oh, I love a good bracelet stack, Kristen.
I forgot I had this one on too. And this one's macrame. So you can macrame softflex. This was done with 2 softflex colors. I think it was the, might be the spinel underneath, and then the red coral is the one that's on top. So if you know how to macrame, you can try some of your macrame knots with softflex. And if you don't know how to macrame, you can check out my the softflex YouTube channel. We have a macrame playlist for just some of the simple ones like spiral and the knots. What am I looking for? Oh, nothing. I just need to make a loop. I'm like, what am I missing over here? So after you string down the wires down both down the crimp tubes, you're just going to take one of them. I usually take whatever one is longest, just so I have a little extra wire to play with, and just take it back down into the crimp to make a loop. And why I only do one is that most of our crimp tubes will allow 2 to 3 wires to get through it, but 4 wires will not really work out. So that's why I just do the one. And then this is going to be your loop that you add your clasp to. So just make it a size that's comfortable enough for you to be able to clasp on. Sometimes our copper crimps are a little bit tighter. So if you did get the copper crimp, you might need to do a double crimp here. And what I mean by that is if you're having a hard time getting that 3rd wire down, then crimp this one, cut one of the wires off, and then add another crimp and make your loop with that. So you'll just have a little double crimp here.
Thanks for explaining that
And that,
tip and technique, Kristen.
yeah, I was just thinking how I know sometimes the copper, because they're different metals, there's sterling silver, there's gold filled, and there's copper. They just are slightly different in how the size of the wall is inside for the crimp. And in some cases, it might be difficult to get that 3rd wire down. And then you'll just crimp. And trim off your 2 tails, making sure, like Brittany said, don't cut your design wires. That's something I'm sure we've all done. I know I have. And then I'm like, oh no, I have to start all over again.
Wow, look at this.
So these are the 2 colorways. So you can just see how they're just slightly different based on which color you choose. And then you can also go a little bit richer with the spinel. If you were to use the spinel, you would see that. So sparkly.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
I love it. And then I'll just show these again one more time. I cannot believe I am ahead of schedule. I am never ahead of schedule.
Lynette. You know what I really love about these earrings? Sorry to cut you off, Kristen. I have to just I just have to get a little goo goo gaga over these earrings because you didn't even intend to do this. At least I don't think so. But look at how the wire almost makes that centerpiece look like a heart.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
It's not a heart. It's a really pretty flower shape.
Yeah. I didn't intend that, but I thought so too. I was like, oh, am I just sort of making myself see that? So I didn't say anything. So it's funny that you happen to say it because I agree. I think that the top, and then it kind of comes in a little bit more at the bottom. So they do look like little hearts.
Oh, Brittany and Sarah are agreeing also.
Thomas says, Kristen is a free spirit. She normally doesn't watch the clock. No, I can go on and on. I mean, sometimes like my whole family has to go on lockdown when I'm on videos because I'm in a pretty open space in my house. And sometimes they come out and they're like, are you finally done?
Out.
Like, Yeah, I guess it was a long one today. But I just, for whatever reason, I feel like my designs always take me forever. But this one whipped up real quick. That was great.
Kristen, how
And
long
on
is
and
the
on
bracelet?
and on. Sarah says. My bracelet is 7 inches, I believe. Let me look. Actually, I used the same amount of wire for both, but this one I must have been a little bit, like here I was super close on my beads, especially on the ends, and the one I just did on camera I was a little bit looser, so it made this one a little bit longer.
That's really good to
So
see, because if you have a wrist that's a little bit bigger, you could add just a little extra wire to the ends.
Right, you can loosen up your tension a little bit, and then you'll have it be a little bit longer. So yeah, my first one is 7 inches, which is my size, but just like snugly. And then this one is closer to 7.5. So it'll probably actually be a little more comfortable for me. I have a big wrist. So there's a 5 inch, not a 5 inch, a 1/2 inch swing between the two, even though I use the same beads, just based on how tight I pulled the tension. So that's good to know too. If you need to make it smaller, pull them a little tighter. And if you need to make it bigger, let them be a little bit looser. And especially on the ends there too. All right.
Super.
Oh, Joyce only has a 6 inch wrist. You're like Sarah. She's got a small wrist too. Maybe you pulled tight, but it looks great. Oh, good. I'm glad it worked out, even though you have such a smaller wrist than me. That tension makes a big difference. If you're pulling it tighter, it'll definitely get smaller. Oh, Sarah's going to use her Tucson mix with this pattern. Yay. Let me pull myself back up here.
And Joyce,
And you don't have to bring me in yet.
Hey, well, Kristen, this was fabulous. Thank you so much.
This was so much fun. Oh, I love it. And I got to see the comments today. I set my computer up in front of me so that I can see a little bit what people were saying, which worked out fantastic, because it is so important to engage. And I love to see what's going on with all of you watching. So that was really fun. Thanks, everybody.
This was super. So Brittany was saying earlier in the comments, and Brittany, thanks for pointing this out, that with the Galentine's Day jewelry making party with Jesse James Beads and Softflex Company, we got to make, if you got the kits, that is, we got to make 2 bracelets, 2 necklaces, and 2 pairs of earrings. How cool is that?
And there's tons left too. I know that all of us, I don't think any of us really used all of the beads in our set. I know that there's quite a few left in my mix. And yeah, so you guys can even make probably a handful more on your own. So share, let us know what else you make with it. I can't wait to see if you took the designs and made them your own in a different way, or if you followed the designs, or you made something different with the stuff you have left over. Share it in the secret stash with Jesse James Beads and the Softflex VIB studio. We just love to see that.
We really do. I said it before, and it definitely bears repeating, that when you guys share your designs online, not only does it make the creators and, the women behind the curtain feel so amazing, it also is such a boost for your own personal creative confidence, because we have such an amazing community on here. The Jesse James community, the Softflex community are both so kind and loving and supportive of one another. If you don't know how to do something, ask for help. If you're getting started with a project and you want to hear what people think about it, go ahead and share it. Or if you just looking for a little bit of boost in the right direction of your creative journey, these 2 online communities are definitely the place to find it. And it's really wonderful to be able to provide this. And I know that Kristen and Sarah feel the same way.
100%. It's really nice that we've both cultivated such a loving, encouraging, creative space. And, being creative is vulnerable at times. And for those people in our immediate circles, friends and family who we love dearly, but don't get it, it can be tough and it can be vulnerable to share what you're working on or something that's in progress that's not done yet and you might need a little more feedback. Everybody in our groups, the 2 groups, are just so wonderful and so encouraging and helpful. It's a great place to get comfortable, to ask questions, learn what you're working on, and to share in a very safe place where you don't, our creative egos can get hurt pretty easily, and that is not going to happen in our groups. It's going to be a place to just lift you up and make you stronger.
Empowering,
Empowering, 100%.
So guys, for those of you, gals, I should say, guys, gals and guys, whoever is part of the Galentine's Day jewelry making party, I will ask that you go and check your email, check your spam folder for the link to the Zoom party, okay? The code to enter is BEAD. Very secretive. And we will see you all over there for an after party just for us gals that are part of the Galentine's jewelry making party event. This is going to be very casual. We're going to taste a couple different wines, hang out with each other, bring whatever is on your jewelry making mat right now, whether it's the projects that we just did in class or maybe something else. And let's just hang out, chit chat, and have a really cool Friday night. What a nice way to end the week.
Yeah, I can't wait. I didn't get to make it to the after party during the trick or treat event. So I'm really excited to join everyone and see what it's all about and have a little bubbly and make some more jewelry together and just get to know everybody. Really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Me too. Well, with that, I'm going to let us go so we can have 10 quick minutes to relax before getting back into it. I want to say thank you to everyone who's come out and taken part of this event, whether you bought the kits and were making along, or if you were just enjoying the creative inspiration from these amazing designers. Sarah Ayler, Wendy Whitman, Brittany Chavers, Kristen Fagan, you guys are incredible. Softflex Company, we love working with you. This is Jessie James Beads. We enjoy putting these events together so very, very much. It's such a treat and such a delight to be here and be able to share this space with all of you, So thank you from the bottom of my heart, from all of us here at Jessie James Beads.
Ditto. Right back at you. No, from Softflex Company, we think the same. We're just really, really blessed to be able to work with you. We have such a wonderful partnership. It's a delight, Miss Sarah James, to spend time with you, and it is a super delight to spend time with all of you out there in the bead world. You really are truly our friends, our beading gals and buddies and guys too. Hi, Thomas and Sam, and there's a bunch of you out there. So guys and gals, it's just phenomenal. So thank you from me and everybody over with the Softflex team for thinking of us and bringing us along. And thank you to Brittany Chavers and Wendy Whitman for also saying yes and joining us on this wonderful jewelry party. It's just been such a blast.
Awesome. Kristen, I'll be seeing you in just a few. Thank you once again, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay warm. If it's snowing near you, it's been snowing cats and dogs today over here. Take care, everyone. Happy Galentine's Day.
Happy Galentine's Day.